Every country in the world is in debt, a fact that has become the background noise of our global existence. Yet here is the question that almost no one dares to ask, the question that is politely ignored in the halls of parliament and the boardrooms of major banks. If every nation owes money, if the United States owes trillions, Japan owes quadrillions in yen, and Europe is leveraged to the hilt, then who exactly are they paying? Debt does not simply vanish into the ether. By the laws of accounting and the rigid structure of our reality, debt must be an asset to someone else. Debt always belongs to someone. And once you peel back the layers of bureaucracy and jargon to discover who truly holds it, you will realize the global economy is built on something far more fragile than money, and far more volatile than gold. The United States alone owes more than $34 trillion, a number so vast the human mind cannot truly comprehend it. If you counted to $1 every second, it would take you 31,000 years to reach just 1 trillion, yet we treat 34 trillion as a mere statistic on a screen. Japan, Europe, China, and developing nations alike are in the same boat. Every corner of the planet runs on borrowed money, fueled by credit and promises of future payment. Yet, despite this mountain of obligation, governments keep spending with reckless abandon. Markets keep growing, hitting all-time highs even as the fundamentals rot. And daily life goes on as if nothing is wrong, with citizens going to work, buying homes, and saving for retirement in a currency that is being diluted by the second. So where does this endless supply of money come from, and why hasn't the house of cards collapsed yet? To understand this, we must first break a fundamental myth that is taught to us from childhood. We are conditioned to believe that debt is the opposite of wealth, but in the modern financial system, that is a lie. Debt is not wealth, but it is the raw material of the system. Debt is a promise. It is a promise backed by authority, and authority is backed by belief. When governments need money, they do not dig for gold or tax their citizens immediately to cover the cost. They issue bonds. These bonds are legal promises, essentially glorified IOUs, that say, lend us money today, and we will pay you back tomorrow with interest. These pieces of paper are the lifeblood of the global economy. These bonds are bought by commercial banks, pension funds, insurance companies, foreign governments looking for a safe place to park their cash, and even ordinary citizens who hold them in retirement accounts without ever realizing it. But this is where the rabbit hole deepens, and the first illusion reveals itself. Most countries owe a remarkably large portion of their debt to institutions they themselves control or influence. In the United States, the Federal Reserve, the central bank, owns trillions of dollars in government bonds. Japan's central bank owns nearly half of Japan's total outstanding debt. This creates a closed loop, a financial Ouroboros eating its own tail, creating the appearance that debt is harmless because the government is effectively owing money to itself. But appearances are deceptively dangerous. Because central banks do not create value, they do not manufacture goods, they do not provide services, and they do not generate innovation. They create currency. They type numbers into a computer and, largely out of thin air, purchase the debt of the government. And currency only works if people trust it. Trust is the real foundation of modern money, the invisible glue holding civilization together. It is not gold. It is not silver. It is not oil. If people believe a currency will hold value tomorrow, it survives, and trade continues. If that belief collapses, the system collapses with it, regardless of how many tanks or aircraft carriers a nation possesses. History has shown this pattern repeatedly, serving as a grim warning we choose to ignore. Ancient Rome once ruled the known world, an empire of unmatched military might. But to fund endless wars, expansive infrastructure, and the appeasement of the populace, the Roman government began to debase its currency. They reduced the silver content in the denarius, mixing in cheap copper. At first, nothing happened, the coins looked the same, and the empire felt rich. But slowly, reality set in. Inflation rose. Merchants demanded more coins for the same wheat. Prices exploded. Trust disappeared. And the empire collapsed, not primarily from barbarian invasion, but from financial decay that rotted the society from within. Modern economies follow the exact same path, only now we do it digitally. Today governments do not need to melt coins or clip edges. They print money electronically with a few keystrokes. This process is sanitized with technical terms like quantitative easing or liquidity injection. And while it sounds technical and sophisticated, its effect is simple and brutal. It silently transfers wealth from savers to debtors. It is a hidden tax that no one voted for. Every dollar printed reduces the value of every dollar already in existence. This is not a mistake, it is not an accident of the market. It is a feature of the system. It is designed to encourage spending and punish saving. Now let's address the question everyone assumes has a simple answer, the question that drives geopolitical anxiety. Who is the creditor? Who owns the debt? Many believe the answer is China. We see headlines warning that China holds trillions in US government bonds and could crash the American economy by selling them. But China does not control the system, they are a prisoner of it just like everyone else. Those bonds only matter as long as the US dollar remains dominant. If China dumps the debt, they destroy the value of their own savings. And the dollar remains dominant for one reason: it is the world's reserve currency. This status is the exorbitant privilege of the United States. Oil is priced in dollars. Global trade is settled in dollars. International debt, even between non-American countries, is often denominated in dollars. This creates a permanent, insatiable global demand for US currency. This is not accidental. It is the result of decades of financial design, from the Bretton Woods Agreement to the petrodollar deal with Saudi Arabia. This gives the United States a unique power that no other empire in history has possessed. It can borrow endlessly without immediate collapse because the world needs dollars more than America needs repayment. The US can export its inflation to the rest of the world. So is the United States the true creditor? Not exactly. Because even America is trapped inside the system it created. If the dollar strengthens too much, it crushes emerging markets and destroys US exports. If it weakens too much, domestic inflation rages. The real power lies deeper than national borders. Debt is not just an economic tool, it is a mechanism of control. It is the modern weapon of conquest. When a nation borrows money, it also borrows rules. It accepts shackles. Interest rates, fiscal discipline, austerity measures. All are enforced not by occupying armies, but by financial pressure and bond ratings. International institutions like the IMF and World Bank present themselves as helpers, coming to the aid of struggling nations. But their loans come with strict conditions. They demand that nations cut public spending, privatize state assets, reduce wages, and open their markets to foreign corporations. These conditions reshape nations without firing a single bullet. This is how debt replaces colonization. It no longer needs flags or soldiers planted on foreign soil. It needs spreadsheets and loan agreements. It turns sovereign nations into subsidiary corporations managed for the benefit of creditors. Even powerful Western nations are not immune to this pressure. In 2008, the global financial system nearly collapsed. It wasn't because of war. It wasn't because of famine or plague. It was because debt built on debt finally broke the chain of trust. Banks stopped lending to each other. The gears of the global economy ground to a halt. Markets froze. And governments rushed to save the system, not the people. Trillions of dollars were created overnight to rescue financial institutions that had gambled recklessly. Ordinary citizens were told there was no money for better healthcare, for crumbling bridges, or for education. But there was always, instantly, money to save the banking system. Because if the system falls, everything falls with it. This reveals an uncomfortable truth about our governance. Modern governments do not work for citizens alone. They work to maintain confidence in the financial structure above all else. The preservation of the bond market is the primary directive. Now consider this terrifying reality. If everyone is in debt, then debt itself becomes the asset. Your pension fund relies on government bonds to pay your retirement. Your insurance company depends on stable debt markets to pay your claims. This means a collapse of the debt bubble is not an option for the establishment. It would destroy the future of millions of innocent people. So the system must continue. It must be propped up at all costs. Even if it grows more fragile. Even if the inequality gap widens until it tears society apart. This is why debt keeps increasing. No government wants to be the one that stops borrowing. Because stopping the flow of credit would cause an immediate economic contraction. Unemployment would rise. Markets would panic. And political power would collapse. No politician will voluntarily create a depression today to save the currency tomorrow. They will always choose to kick the can down the road. Debt is no longer a temporary solution to a crisis, it is the permanent fuel of the engine. So who truly owns the world? It is not a specific country. It is not a shadowy corporation. It is not even a singular billionaire class, though they benefit the most. The real owner is belief. Belief that money will work tomorrow. Belief that debt will be repaid, or at least serviced. Belief that growth will continue forever on a finite planet. As long as people believe, the system survives. But history is a graveyard of beliefs that eventually died. When belief breaks, when the populace realizes the emperor has no clothes and the currency has no value, history shows what follows. Empires fall. Currencies die. And new systems rise from the ruins. We have seen it in Rome, in Weimar Germany, in Venezuela, in Zimbabwe. And we will see it again on a global scale. The only question is not who owns the debt. The question is how long the suspension of disbelief can last. We are living through the greatest financial experiment in human history, waiting for the moment when the world wakes up and asks for the check, only to realize the pockets are empty.